As a child, he was never groomed in every sense of the word. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. A choice we've got. A mandate to get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. I love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
And Bald Brian.
Oh, fuck!
Yeah, Riley's going to tell us about Lennon and Elvis and Muhammad Ali.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Interesting stuff. I was listening and being interviewed. I didn't know none of the Beatles showed up at Lennon's funeral.
What?
I didn't know that either.
I did not know that. I mean, we can check it, but I think it's in the book, so we can talk to him about that.
I found that odd. Paul and him had reconciled recently. There was a great...
Before his death.
Before his death. One of the great all-time could have been, should have been, almost was moments in TV/pop culture history was when in the early days of SNL, you guys may be aware of this, in the early days of SNL, young Lorne Michaels, and maybe we can find the clip, he went on, I think Weekend Update or whatever it was, young Lorne Michaels is like, here's a check for $5,000 made out to the Beatles if you guys will come on here and reunite. And it was a joke because what do they need $5,000 for? He's like, if you want to give Ringo less, that's up to you. John and Paul were hanging out in New York watching that, and they were like, we should just go down there. And they didn't. They kind of chickened out. But what a moment that would have been. That would have been the greatest moment in TV history.
What year do you think that was?
70. He died in 80, so it would have been 78-ish. And Lorne Michaels left the show in 1980, so it would have been late 70s.
You guys aren't old enough, but I definitely remember where I was. I mean, I remember being in high school.
Brian was in a ball sack.
I was a year and a half old.
Walking to gym class when I heard about it in 1980. I remember hearing, it was definitely during school time, and I was definitely on campus when I heard about it. All right, so we'll get into all that, some interesting stuff with Ali and Elvis, and now we're all Elvis experts because we saw the movie, but there's much more to learn. Somebody tweeted me an article on Harry Hay.
Oh.
The pioneering gay man from my grandmother's youth. The book should arrive here any day now. And I remembered, and it was it's interesting because my grandmother was a communist.
Like card-carrying member? Or was that too much effort to get a card?
I don't know. But first things first, it's kind of like the modern women's movement. Like if you're
I'm a card-carrying member.
If you're really into women's rights, you should really fucking hate the Middle East. You should hate the Middle East. But instead, many in that group have focused their ire on Israel, and they've kind of left the rest of the Middle East out of the mix, and it's insanely misguided, and it's curious. It's weird. It's like, is this what? Are you for what you're for? If the group that has turned the hardest on the new prime minister of Italy are progressive women calling her fascist. So if you're for women,
she can be both,
and powerful women, then you should be applauding this thing, not attacking this thing. So now I'm confused. And
she's the female face of male supremacy.
Yes, who is really into communism? You know what I mean? I mean, especially a gay man. You'd stand a much better chance of being a gay man in the United States than you would be in under a communist regime. So what is it?
Which lane?
All right, but I have the answer.
Oh.
There's one through line. You all hate your dads. Not you, Gina. But what I mean is if my grandmother hated her dad, I'm sure Harry Hay hated it. They hate their dad. They're not for communism.
I'm not a communist, by the way.
They hate their dads, and they're pushing against the man, essentially. But that's a internal, personal thing that they've externalized because wherever you are in history, is there any reason to embrace that? And the embracing of that back then was much less of, I would like to live in a communist regime, and more of a fuck you to whatever the establishment.
Every authority figure is proxy for your dad.
Yeah, it's like Ed Asner. Did he think the Twin Towers were taken down and there wasn't a Jew in the building or whatever? Or does he just hate the country? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So be careful when people go, here's what I'm for. most of here's what I'm for is here's what I'm against. I hate my dad. All right. So anyway, we have this article. It's interesting.
Bullied in school, Harry Hay went on to start one of the first gay rights groups in America. Quote, "We pulled ugly green frog skin of heterosexual conformity over us, and that's how we got through school with a full set of teeth," said Harry Hay, who is often called the father of gay liberation. As a young person, Hay was frequently bullied, and knowing how to pass as straight was essential. "We know how to live through their eyes," he said.
By the way, passing for straight in the 40s just meant don't get caught with a cock in your mouth. Like just walk around.
We'll keep the mincing to a door.
Yeah, well, you just walk around, show up at school.
Right.
Well, you won't be on anyone's no-fly list.
Lots of kids don't play football.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
"We can always play their games, but are we denying ourselves by doing this? If you're going to carry the skin of conformity over you, you're going to suppress the beautiful prince or princess within you." Born in Sussex, England in 1912, Hay grew up in Los Angeles. In school, he routinely faced pressure to be more like the other kids. While Hay knew assimilation could be an important survival strategy, he also soon discovered that conforming can be a soul-draining proposition. Instead, he devoted his life to brazenly being himself, and in the process inspired legions of others to do the same. During high school in L.A., Hay's deep interest in academics, art, and performance was enlivened by a growing commitment to social justice. While working his teenage summers as a ranch hand on a relative's Nevada cattle farm, Hay met some Wobblies,
What?
members of the labor organization International Workers of the World, and was introduced to Marxism. That worldview immediately made sense to Hay. It was an encounter that would change his life, inspiring decades of dedication to leftist politics and organizing. For a time, Hay attended Stanford, where he studied international relations, wrote poetry, and pursued acting. Starting in 1933, he began attending Communist Party meetings. By then, he moved back to Los Angeles, where he found work as an actor and screenwriter, and fell in with a group of leftist actors and creatives. It was in that group that he met Will Geer, with whom he had a romantic relationship.
Wow.
Hey,
obviously he's an actor, but I'm trying to think of what his most known for.
Couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
You know the name, though, right?
Yeah.
Will Geer?
Yeah.
I just think of the Will Geer Theater in Topanga Canyon. Of course, you're familiar.
Yeah.
he
Performed there
in?
many times.
What was his iconic role?
We'd have to look it up. It doesn't come to mind.
The Waltons.
Oh, the Waltons. He was Grandpa Walton? Yeah.
Yeah, Grandpa Zebulon Walton.
That dude was gay?
As the
Oh,
day
my
is long.
God. I got to take a shower.
Hay joined the Communist Party in
Grandpa Walton
1934.
was gay.
This is how his kids find out.
At the urging of fellow Communist Party members and his psychoanalyst, Hay married a woman and fellow activist Anna Platke in 1938, and the couple went on to adopt.
But why marry a woman if you're a staunch supporter of living your truth?
Yeah, if you're out, which it sounds like he was.
He's an out communist, not an out homosexual.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
there was pressure, but you could also just kind of go the Liberace route.
confirmed bachelor.
Yeah, hey, ladies, he's a confirmed bachelor. All right, sorry.
Hay enjoyed his wife's companionship and loved his children. They have adopted 2 daughters, but he wasn't being his true self. Eventually, he and his wife divorced. Harry Hay is also among the first gay rights activists to argue that homosexuals were a cultural minority, not just individuals. A 1960 publication of the Mattachine Society emphasizing homosexual civil rights. Once he had dropped the mask of heterosexual marriage, Hay embarked on perhaps the most significant chapter of his life as an activist and as a person. A good 20 years before gay rights were a visible issue on the national scene, Hay started the Mattachine Society, an underground gay fellowship. It reportedly took 2 years for him to find a single other man willing to join the group.
Wow.
Boy.
Lonely meetings.
Yeah.
Aligning oneself with homosexuality could mean social death and even jail time. When an interviewer later asked whether gay men saw themselves as second-class citizens, Hay answered, "I don't think they even thought in those terms. We thought of ourselves as being illegal. The idea of self-respect didn't exist. The Mattachine Society, which worked to advance the civil rights of gay men, mostly operated clandestinely, as many members were security risks and likely already had FBI files, particularly as McCarthyism gained ground.
I wonder where my grandmother came into the picture. I mean, she was...
Was she at a meeting?
Well,
I mean, not a gay men's meeting, but
definitely communist and definitely in Los Angeles her whole life, and definitely kind of down with actors and poets and artists.
She says she was a dancer.
Oh.
She was a dancer.
Yeah.
You're fortunate. I mean, you're unfortunate. Your grandfather, Laszlo, is fortunate that he was able to write and work for as long as he was, like with a pretty openly communist wife and being a writer himself.
She was lucky to get a job at the VA in
That is
Westwood.
bizarre.
She
They defy the odds.
I think she cooled her jets by the time she got to Laszlo.
Yeah.
I think this is more 30s, 40s, and he came around. I guess he came around in the later 40s. Maybe she'd burnt her card, her communist card, or something. I don't know.
Hay recalled that in the early days, group of members met 5 to 6 days a week after work until 1 o'clock in the morning.
It's a lot of sex.
Though hugely important as one of the very first groups of its kind in the country, the society eventually disbanded, in part over a split between more assimilationist members focused on using respectability politics to gain entry into mainstream society, and members like the radical, cross-dressing Hay, who wasn't looking for anyone's approval. In the 1970s, along with friends Mitch Walker, Don...
That's, by the way, that's why my grandmother liked him, because I remember she told me he puts those beads on and tells everyone to fuck off. Like,
March to his own drum.
He's not looking for anyone's approval. It's like, you should look for some people's approval.
Your doctors.
Or just as a motorist. You know what I mean? Like,
Can I merge?
Feel free to have some people approve of you. Maybe not all. Not anybody's.
Hay was also a founder of the Radical Fairies, a countercultural group expressly devoted to non-assimilationist queer self-expression. It was a response to what he perceived as a growing conformity amongst gay men. Gay culture was too often an impressive parody of straight culture, he said, defining homonormativity before its time. Hay's house in Los Angeles became known as Fairy Central.
Oh.
And served as a
Unofficially.
hub for the burgeoning fairy movement, which emphasized the formation of caring bonds and was influenced by Hay's interest in paganism and Native American ritual and spirituality. The group still hosts communal gatherings in rural locales.
Yeah. So
I smell a live show.
two things can be true at once. You can be down with a good cause and a douche who's sort of antisocial, which is what he was.
He kind of slid down the slippery slope. But
Oh, look, if he was alive today, he would be still going at it as hard as he ever was. All right. Sorry. Go ahead, Dawson.
Hay's thinking went even further than a positive message of gay self-respect and love. He said that this group was in fact essential to human civilization and touted a special set of gay gifts to the world. In the words of his friend Mark Thompson, not that Mark Thompson.
Thank you.
He was the first to insist that we are a separate, distinct minority with certain traits and talents, mainly in the areas of teaching, healing, mediating opposites, and creating beauty. Later in life, Hay condemned the emphasis on consumerism he saw taking root in lifestyle publications and gay culture broadly. He ultimately settled with his partner John Burnside in San Francisco, where the two lived at the center of a robust, dynamic circle of loved ones, fellow fairies, and like-minded activists.
Let me chime in here. Being equal, whether you're gay or black or a woman or whatever it is, the plan is to get to buoyant and equal, and then you move on. When you start ascribing things that we're better at, we're proud, now you're going into a direction that you fought against when it was somebody of a different persuasion or a different ethnicity. Just stop at a certain point.
Do you think you're as good a florist as a random gay man?
a fairy.
No, but I know some black dudes who...
The Cove Avenue Stairway in the Silver Lake neighborhood of Los Angeles is dedicated to Hay. A plaque beside the stairs reads, Harry Hay founded the Mattachine Society on this hillside in 1950.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Chris found a quote from my grandmother about the clubhouse where they met.
Yeah, I know.
Where's this from?
This is from the book. So
okay.
I got the ebook.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Yeah, just so they're talking about the perfect clubhouse for Harry, sprang up across the street from the Hollywood Theater Guild, when devotees of the new camera arts formed an organization called the Hollywood Film and Photo League.
This is her being interviewed?
No, this is some exposition first.
Oh, sorry.
So it's part left, part art, part commune. The league documented demonstrations and social unrest on film and had a counterpart in New York. So more than a dozen dancers, sculptors, and other artists were there, and they pulled their relief checks for rent and communal meals.
Like a kibbutz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commune.
But whenever people got jobs, the house went untended. When they were out of work, it was clean, but they were hungry, so they got a nickname called the Filth and Famine League.
Great.
By the
Good
way,
Marvel
if you think
characters.
any of this stuff is new, it is not new. This is 80 years old.
Yeah.
Plus.
DC property.
Among them were a photographer Roger, dancer Bruce, a sound engineer Burton, and a vivacious young dancer named Helen Johnson.
Ooh,
Vivacious.
wow.
Yeah. She was very vivacious. The reason she loved dance, because the reason my mom got taken away from her by Child Protective. God, don't make me picture any of this.
Tassels everywhere.
Child Protective Services collected my mom is because she was rehearsing at the Hollywood Bowl. My mom, as an infant, was like left with a neighbor, but the neighbor called
Yeah,
called
that's an
it
issue.
in. Yeah.
Huh.
Now, later, when I said to my grandmother all those years ago, I said, so you left mom with the neighbor to babysit, and then you went out to practice.
Okay.
And then the neighbor called Child Protective Services and had mom collected. And I said, why would a neighbor do that? I mean, how would that work?
Was this one time too many?
Or was this a
mean?
baby in the basket on the front step situation?
What would motivate somebody to go, I'll watch your daughter, and then call Child Protective Services?
This doesn't check out.
And she said, and this is where I start stumbling onto sort of bullshit early. Like she said, because the neighbors, the woman in the house, I guess it was a couple, the neighbors. So the woman had the hots for my man.
Oh, Jolene.
And I said, yeah. And she said, and we were moving out. And I said, but why would that work?
That may be
what-
true, but that doesn't make sense.
What, there's no A to B in that. That's not an answer.
That was her answer.
That's not an answer.
It's nonsensical.
It
It's also
sounds like
self-aggrandizing.
it sounds like they tossed your mother at the door and walked away.
Obviously,
this kid.
I don't know how we get to whatever the truth is because that's her answer.
But that's a very common answer for a wide swath of people. Is the answer is always somebody was out to get me.
Yeah, jealous.
Yeah.
What I had. We have her.
Yeah,
quote.
so while the Film and Photo League was not necessarily communist or, quote, temperamental, but plenty of such people were there, and Johnson described the anything goes ambience as such. Quote, in those days, in the circles in which I moved, gays and straights were not so separated. A lot of people at that place swung a bit both ways.
Oh,
It was
nothing else. Something else you can picture.
It was taken for granted that communists were around. They were scattered in the Filth and Famine League like raisins in a cake.
Yeah, I hate raisins in a cake. I know it's a metaphor, but it just keeps getting worse.
There was a woman named Adele, whom we thought was a communist agent because she never mixed with anybody. B, an older lady who ran the place, was always looking to lay the younger men who were there.
Oh,
I just threw up in my mouth.
There was a Hungarian who we found was stealing typewriters and reselling them.
was his name Laszlo?
Could have been.
He also taught fencing to famous Hollywood people. I had a room over an old stable next to a guy who gathered rusty old files and tools and soaked them in a big vat of acid to clean them up for resale. He always shook them in the middle of the night. So
What
that's
a
one
time.
of she's all over this book though. Yeah, you're totally right.
So we know she was an exotic dancing
swinging.
bisexual with raisins in cake.
Oh, this is the worst idea ever. Why did you force me to do this, Chris?
Bad producing.
I never wanted to know any of this.
Well, when I was searching for Helen Gorog, I was like, oh, she's not in this that much, but Helen Johnson is all over.
Oh, there we go.
So yeah, and also someone named Lacey Gorog, who I found out is Laszlo. So he's called Lacey Gorog throughout the
Lacey.
book. Lacie.
That's how he would pronounce.
Oh, like
Lotzie
right.
is spelled Lacey.
That makes sense. Yes.
LACI.
Oh, so Lotzie's in this.
Yeah,
oh,
so someone
man,
named Lacey Gorog's all over it too, and I was like, "Oh, who is Lacey? Who's she?" But it's a guy who's a screenwriter at Warner.
Everyone's assignment this weekend is to read this book.
Is
Yeah,
he?
this is rough.
God, tell me he's not swinging too.
I
Is
can't
there
tell
any
you. I will not
cuckolding
confirm nor
at
deny
all
any of this
going
yet.
on?
I gotta look more through it. Yeah.
Wow.
Let's see, swinging. Yeah, Lotzie is Lacey, but
That makes sense.
nobody would pronounce it that
Right.
way. All right. Well, I need to take a shower.
Lava did that.
Well, that'll do it. That'll get him to take a shower.
There you go.
All right, let me tell you about Keeps. For over 50 million men in the U.S. experiencing male pattern baldness. In most cases, hair loss can be prevented and treated. Keeps, a simple, stress-free way to keep your hair. Convenient virtual doctor consults and medications delivered straight to your door every 3 months in discreet packaging, 24/7 care and support. Keeps has a network of expert medical advisors, prescribers, and specialists. Low cost, just about $10 per month. Treatment plans are typically half the cost of whatever you pay for at a pharmacy. And prevention is the key. So let's get going with Keeps. If it's thinning out, boys, treatment can take 4 to 6 months to see results. So act fast with Keeps, right, Dawson?
If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/Adam to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/Adam to get your first month free. keeps.com/Adam.
You know, we could probably do a Laszlo Gorog Rotten Tomatoes themed game.
God damn.
Because
What's taking us so long?
Yeah.
those movies are so old and maybe some of them aren't rated, but I don't know. Like, is the Mole People have a Rotten Tomatoes score?
It's kitschy enough.
Yeah, I would
Don't
think
look
it
it
would.
up. If
No.
it's
I won't look it up. You can just tell us yes or no. Or does the Affairs of Susan have a Rotten Tomatoes score?
The Mole People does have a Rotten Tomatoes score. Yes.
Okay. And look up the Affairs of Susan. And I'll try to think. I mean, we could IMDb him, find out what he wrote. God, he wasn't swinging. No, he made goulash all day and fixed it
with the boys.
He made goulash and he fixed the sprinklers.
He was doing
That's
cinema
what he-
verite in Los Angeles called Lesbian Communists in Silver Lake. Yeah.
Like Laszlo?
Yes, he was. It was all real.
No,
I'm kidding. Sorry.
he was a
What's-
guy who rode a 3-wheel bicycle to Lucky Supermarket.
So a tricycle.
And made he made chicken paprikash and goulash, and he just never stopped working on either the sprinklers or the filter in the miniature pond-sized pool they had in their backyard. That's who he was.
He got it all out of his system.
Not a swinger. No way.
What's more upsetting to you to think about? Which one? I think probably Grandma.
I knew Grandma jumped the shark by the time, on her 19th birthday, but Laszlo was,
The
just
old-
an
the old
old
country.
Salt of
country
the
guy.
earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Affair of Susan does not have a Rotten Tomatoes
Nah.
score.
Well, this is a bizarre world because that movie was nominated for an Academy Award.
Oh shit.
In 1935, though. I mean, yeah.
Hard to collect reviews.
Was it 35?
Got to go back to the microfiche.
Jesus Christ.
I promise you it'll have an IMDb score of 7.3.
Let's, well, you can check or maybe.
Oh, excuse me, it's 45. Well, there's one
Yeah.
at 35 and 45.
Nah,
so-
this would have been 45.
Okay,
I
so let me
think.
check that one then. There's two affairs.
You want to play Grandma's No Charm, No Charisma clip just to give people a palate cleanser?
She had a lot of nice stuff to say about Harry Hay.
She loved everything.
She loved
She
it.
had it in her. It's not for you.
I was funny because every time she goes, no charisma, no charm. And then he goes, but he is intelligent. I go, oh, okay, well, that's something. But
Must be from me.
Yeah.
got it from her. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. The genius who got her kid taken away and rotted at the VA her entire life.
Yeah.
We should all have that kind of
Strive.
intelligence. All right.
The Affairs of Susan, 1945, also no Rotten Tomatoes.
Whoa.
Unbelievable.
He gets nominated for original screenplay or adapted something. I mean, it was
Probably
was
adapted if
nominated.
there's a previous.
Yeah. All right. We'll take a quick break. Back with the real Rotten Tomatoes game right after this.
All right, well, now that the heat wave is kind of over in Southern California, we've gotten back to slightly better temperatures. It's finally safe for us to use our appliances from 4 to 9. So we're going to turn up the heat once more and enjoy some movies that take place under the scorching rays of a desert sun. First up, when a hunter stumbles upon the aftermath of a drug deal gone wrong in the middle of the desert, he goes on, takes the money, and runs. Hoo. The hunter becomes the hunted when both a sheriff and a merciless killer pick up his trail, starring Josh Brolin, Javier Bardem, and Tommy Lee Jones. From 2007, No Country for Old Men.
Do you have thoughts on this film?
I fucking love it.
Both of you love this, right?
I love
That's-
this
it's
goddamn
fantastic.
film.
Yeah.
I love it. And I'm proud to say this is one of Sonny's all-time favorites.
Nice.
I mean, it's just so goddamn good. Every character's great in it. It just keeps getting better. I mean,
Definitely character driven.
it's just so goddamn good, this
It's the
film.
rare movie that's character and plot driven. This movie has a very strong plot and characters.
Yeah, just tons of stuff to love about this film. This may be one of my favorite films of the last 15 or 20 years outside of Tarantino films.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's a masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece. Look,
It's Coen Brothers.
We're
It's a
talking.
chef d'oeuvre.
We're talking about, a 93 to maybe a 92 to 97 range here. It's going to piss me off. Even if it's 96, it's still going to piss me off. Who are these critics that just went?
Yeah.
By the way, all you have to do is get to a C plus,
Right.
to get the thumbs
Yep,
up.
just above average.
And I hate
critically.
when critics are like, it wasn't for me. Okay, well, what about all the people that you're doing this for? Is it for them?
By the way, as a critic, you should not have "it wasn't for me" gear.
Yeah,
that's not.
yeah, that's what I'm
your
saying.
job is evaluating films.
What about
not-
the rest of us?
Will people like this?
Yeah.
Is this for people?
Right.
Yes.
You're the interpreter.
It literally means under 3 out of 5 stars. That's how you get to rotten, and there will be a percentage of that.
It's crazy.
All right, so everyone's gonna be in a window here, but it had a lot of violence in it. Sometimes that'll knock you down a number. I will say 94.
When Adam Carolla says a number, you go with that number, 96.
93.
We have a 5-point deduction because No Country for Old Men is certified fresh at 93.
Thank you, Adam Carolla. That was your bottom.
And the audience has it at 86. What were they looking forward to?
Oh.
Years before Tom Cruise took on the franchise, we saw another incredibly fit actor traveling to the city of the dead. This trim young man accidentally awakens an evil power, which had been kept under wraps in a desert, starring Rachel Weisz and a handsome heartthrob, Brendan Fraser, from 1999, The Mummy.
93.
Brendan Fraser's coming back.
Yeah.
This was one of those, well, there's a great ride at Universal based on The Mummy.
This is the first
Yeah.
Mummy.
I mean, of that era.
Mummy never, out of all the mythical villains, Mummy never really struck any fear into my heart.
Not super scary.
They weren't mobile at all. They were
Wrap-
kind of
wrapped in
frail
gauze.
looking.
Yeah, they're not really bloody. They're wrapped.
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right. So they didn't love it, but they kept going with the franchise. Right?
It spawned many sequels. The Rock got kind of his cinematic break doing the Scorpion
Right.
King.
Was the first one any good? Is this that?
Again, it's a ride at Universal.
All right.
Hold on.
We in?
Yes.
All right. I went 37.
Oh boy, this is gonna separate the men from the boys already. I think this is actually okay, like for what it is. I went 71.
Whoa, 48.
The Mummy is fresh. It's 61%.
Just fresh.
It's for what it is. Big CGI nonsense. It's okay. It's good.
All right. People liked it.
A writer and his lawyer drive a convertible across the Mojave Desert
Yeah.
with a suitcase full of drugs on their way to Sin City. Upon their arrival, they partake in the contents of said suitcase, resulting in a series of hedonistic actions and chaotic repercussions starring Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro from 1998, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
This was big in our circle when it came out.
It was a very anticipated release.
Yeah.
It's obviously a cult book,
Yeah.
cult movie.
One of the movies, this, Training Day, and Requiem for a Dream, where I really felt like I was going to throw up watching the movie. Watching people that high.
As I recall, it was much anticipated, but a letdown. But I don't know how big a letdown.
Well,
I
let
mean,
down
you have
in what way? I mean,
I have a vague memory of sort of people going, it's not as good as we'd hoped, or not as good as the book. I mean, whenever the book comes,
Right.
if a book is beloved and iconic, then it's always going to be a little bit of we got to deduct a few points. But
It's also incredibly niche. You know what I mean? This does not reach a wide audience.
well, and that's why
appeal to
I'm
a
very
lot.
confused, because for teenagers, this was the coolest thing we'd ever seen. So I don't know how people actually felt about it.
and then you have two great leads.
Oh yeah, Benicio
And
was
that-
relatively newish at this point.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is
And he put on a
pre-Usual
bunch of
Suspects.
weight.
Was
That's
it?
a great. What year is this? Dawson year?
This
98?
was 98.
When was
A
Usual
few years
Suspects?
out, 95.
Oh,
But he put on a ton of weight. A big
Yeah.
guy. Has one of the best cameos of all time. Johnny Depp is as Hunter S. Thompson in a flashback to his more drug days in 10 years earlier, and he's talking to the audience in a voiceover where Johnny Depp's walking through the bathroom looking for drugs or the club, and he goes, "There I was," and he passes Hunter S. Thompson, and he goes, "Holy shit, there I am!" Jesus Christ,
very tongue in
it's
cheek.
great.
All
Shit,
right.
I don't know.
I didn't see. I saw bits
on,
and
I
pieces
gotta
of this movie. I was not really. No one said I had to see it, so I didn't. I didn't read the book, obviously, because I didn't read. So now, how low can we go? Is there punishment for not being as great as the book? But two great stars. I'm gonna go just fresh at 61, like our last score.
That's exactly what I have. 61. The director is someone of note. I'm drawing a goddamn blank on who it is, but it's somewhat famous.
Well, I have to stick with my heart. I thought people thought this was the coolest thing ever, and critics love cool, so I said 78.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is rotten.
Shit.
49%.
Wow. But don't you think critics love this kind of shit? A drug-fueled romp about a writer?
It's uneven. You know what I mean?
Not when they're in love with the book.
Well, the
Yeah.
audience thought it was fantastic at 89.
Yeah, that was you.
I guess.
After surviving boot camp and training as a sniper, a Marine is shipped out to the Arabian Peninsula as part of Operation Desert Shield in the Gulf War. He and his fellow soldiers try to retain their composure as they march through the highway of death, starring Jake Gyllenhaal,
Oh, yeah.
Peter Sarsgaard, and Jamie Foxx from 2005, Jarhead.
This is another movie that was, I guess, pretty stylized. I mean, we definitely saw this at like like a group of teens.
movie's intense.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. I don't
Yeah.
think I saw it.
I never saw you like Jarhead.
Yeah.
I would?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now I'm
What
worried.
happens to young soldiers when they're kind of stuck in that environment?
Yeah. So what do we do here?
This, I don't know.
I don't know.
For what it's
either.
worth, I enjoyed this movie.
I did too, but that doesn't mean anything.
But it was probably if it took a little anti-war, sort of anti-marine.
Did it?
I
It's hard to
was
say.
pro-Marine, actually.
Yeah.
It was pro-marine. Okay.
It's not
But it
that
also
clear.
showed the hells of war. It's a complicated movie.
Yeah.
Terry Gilliam was
There
the
you go.
director you're thinking of from Monty Python.
I like to think.
I have
what year was
no
this?
clue.
05?
2005.
Okay.
Doesn't mean anything. Although
So
this is around the heels of the second Iraq War, but still in it. 05.
All right.
I don't know what to say.
So I'm trying to figure out whether to add points or deduct points based on the kind of politics of it, but it was pretty even-handed. It was just a war as hell.
War as hell, and it's I think it's based on the book by the Jarhead dude. So I think it's pretty faithful to the Marine experience, the sniper experience.
Okay. Don't know. Listening to Brian is... Because she's going to do the thing where we go, I said I liked it, but no one else did.
Yep.
With this 49.
I do that. Oh, we weren't that far off. We both got 61.
Yeah.
With the last movie. It was only 12 off.
Part of me wants this to go 61 again. I'm going 61.
I'm afraid this is a really good movie. I said 88. I wouldn't be surprised if it was higher.
75.
We have another 5-point deduction because Jarhead is fresh at 61.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised.
Wow.
I just burst. I went full Kool-Aid on your asses.
You really did.
Wow.
That is shocking. Did anyone else see this? I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I
I
did
see
too.
it, yeah.
A sentient tire rolls through the desert
Who picked this?
using the power of its mind
Yep.
to
Remember
make
these?
small animals and human heads explode. Can the people come together to deflate this nightmare situation? From 2010, Rubber.
Remember this?
No.
Anderson talks about this a lot.
I have
I never
no-
saw this.
Careful where you tread.
Oh, my God. Ah, boy, this is tough.
This is awesome.
I have no idea because I've never heard of this movie. Funny, gory, and downright insane. So says whom?
Some reviewer.
Bloody disgusting.
Now, that is a
They know.
horror website. You know what I mean? They sort of... This is a genre picture.
Oh, it's a film by Quentin Dupieux.
That's right.
That's his nom de plume.
Yeah.
All right, so...
That's awesome.
But this is the kind of thing critics could go nuts for.
Yeah.
Or it could be shock.
Ironic.
Or could just be unwatchable. You've not seen it,
I
Brian?
haven't seen it.
I remember the joke around this movie.
Yeah, I don't... No one's ever told me I have to say... I've been burned by that logic before, but no one's ever been like, dude, you haven't seen Rubber?
So this,
Except Anderson.
Even he's never said it
Oh.
like that. He just kind of talks about it.
this movie just came out, and I've never heard of it. Did it get into theaters?
I can't tell you definitively. This is an odd choice for this game.
Okay. I may have a small... Is this our last one?
Yeah.
It is.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Might be clinging to a small lead, but I just have... these are the kind of movies that critics could like just because they're that quirky, or it could just be pure, unadulterated junk down into the teens. I have no idea. I'm going 40%.
I threw a Hail Mary at 80%.
Wow.
I don't know anything about this.
I'm sticking with 48.
Rubber is fresh
Yes!
at 68%.
Wow.
That may have helped me a little.
Brian,
People
did you
thought it
say
was stupid.
Brian, did you say 80 or 88?
I said 88 was the last one. 80 was this one.
Okay, thanks.
It's funny. My impulse was just to go 50% because...
Who knows?
Who the hell knows? But it seems so schlocky.
Needed those 12 points.
Wow.
It's a close game. I think.
Yeah, I have no
Gina
clue.
Grad, congratulations. You
Thank
made
you.
the podium again. That is a streak. You're on with 71.
Fresh.
Bald Brian.
Don't do this to me.
Oh, boy. Coming in with a score of 64,
Okay.
which puts you in at least second place, possibly first, leaving us Adam Carolla, who had the 5-point deduction and got back in the game, just really played like a champion today. But unfortunately, your score of Brian got 64.
Don't do this.
Adam got 60 for the win.
Come on.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
I knew it!
Wow.
I know. tried to make up some points in the last one.
Not that it would have made a difference. I feel like my -5 wasn't calculated into that, but I still lost.
Even if it
That's
was,
fine.
yeah.
Okay.
So what was it? The critics were 68. What were the people on? Rubber?
46. Rubber.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. So I had 3. So the critics just kind of liked.
They like
how
the
bizarre.
audacity of it,
Right.
the nonsense.
All right, Bill O'Reilly is going to join us in a couple of few. I have
Terrible game.
Bill O'Reilly's going to. One of the guys going to talk about is John Lennon. There's a John Lennon's name came up in a very recent White House presser, so it reminded me of Bill in the book, and we have the. So what happened is Biden made a gaffe. I hope you're all sitting down.
Oh, it was tough.
Next time I'll learn this when he doesn't.
Yeah, this was really tough.
He mentioned someone who'd passed away.
But didn't know that.
Well, I have a theory, and then it got exacerbated by the press secretary sort of, look, either side, whatever your politics are, look, once in a while, there's a lot of names. There's Joe Biden has to. No one could ever possibly know all the names and all the heads of everything and the mayor of every city and whatever. Just every once in a while, you just go.
People mess up.
He had a brain fart.
Didn't Trump ask if Frederick Douglass was present in the boardroom?
Yeah,
at one point?
just say the fucking guy. When have you not misspoken or whatever? But she went into a circle the wagons thing, and then it gets absurd. And then what people do is they push back, not against the brain fart. Because it could go away where the guy goes, the guy misspoke. Right. What do you want him to do? He speaks all day. He misspoke. But instead, she gave a cockamamie answer, and then the press corps started pushing back against her answer, not against him, which now you've exacerbated the problem. It's basically, it's like you get into more trouble for lying to the FBI than you do for what they wanted you to talk about. That's how they get you. End up getting yourself into more trouble. But it is funny. Remember that clip of Jerry Lewis doing that interview toward the end? And the guy's like,
his house.
What do you think of Dean Martin? I don't know.
Yes.
When are you going to perform? Maybe. Mark Carrico says he shows that to clients who are going to be deposed,
so good.
Which makes me laugh, but it's true. It's like, that's how you get deposed. You don't talk. It's yes, no, and I can't remember. That's how you get deposed. You do not start running your lip.
I can't recall is the biggest fucking cop-out loophole of all these, congressional hearings and all that shit.
Yeah, but I have a theory about why he went to looking for her in the room.
Okay.
And we'll play the clip.
I want to thank all of you here for including bipartisan elected officials like Representative Governor, Senator Braun, Senator Booker, Representative Jackie. Are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here to help make this.
All right. My theory.
She was killed in a car accident.
Right, but her last name is Walorski.
Oh.
And he didn't want to stumble over the name because he gets skewed for stumbling over names. So he goes, Braun and Booker. That's
easy,
straightforward. And he goes, and Jackie, and he's seeing this weird Polish last name. And he goes, where are you, Jackie? Yeah. Like that was him not wanting to deal with the name. But then where John Lennon comes in, you watch it again, you'll see him kind of go, I'm not sure about this last name, so I'll just play it to the crowd.
I want to thank all of you here for including bipartisan elected officials like Representative Governor, Senator Braun, Senator Booker, Representative Jackie. Are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here.
All right. Anyway,
it was just really unfortunate that it happened to be her.
Yeah.
Brain fart. Fine. Made a mistake. Turn the page. But then during the presser with Karine Jean-Pierre, she just circled the wagon. And so she gave a ridiculous answer, which you can watch. And then someone brought up John Lennon, which I thought was funny.
What happened in the hunger event today? The president appeared to look around the room for an audience member, a member of Congress who passed away last month. He seemed to indicate she might be in the room. What happened there?
So the president was, as you all know, you guys were watching today's event, a very important event on food insecurity. The president was naming the congressional champions on this issue and was acknowledging her incredible work. He had already planned to welcome the congresswoman's family to the White House on Friday. There will be a bill signing in her honor this coming Friday. So, of course, she was on his mind. She was of top of mind for the president. He very much looks forward to discussing her remarkable legacy of public service with them when he sees her family this coming Friday.
He said, "Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? She must not be here."
No, I totally understand. I just explained she was on top of mind.
I think that's a perfectly reasonable secretary, like a cover-up answer. Like, give me a sidestep. She's on everybody's mind. She did such great work, and we can't wait to honor her at the end of the week.
Yeah, but then he was looking for her in the room. But sorry, do you have the John Lennon?
I'm not saying it's a good answer. I'm saying it's a good answer for her, as that's her job.
I know, but she inspired many more questions, which was...
she didn't answer it.
What do you mean top of mind? He was calling her out in the room. Thought she was in the room. Sorry, did you find that, Chris?
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
Right, where he was calling out, again, congressional leaders, a bipartisan leadership that we have seen on this particular issue. And again, he's going to see her family in just 2 days. And she was on top of mind. I mean, that is not an unusual scenario there.
Karine, I have John Lennon top of mind just about every day, but I'm not looking around for him anywhere.
When you sign a bill for John Lennon, Lennon as president, then we can have this conversation. Okay, go ahead.
Good exchange.
She got pissed off there. And by the way, that was before that, she was asked again, what are you talking about top of mind? That's where I think about John Lennon every day, but I'm not looking around for him.
They kept circling back. Like, we just want to circle back to that top of mind thing again.
That's good.
Could have gone away.
Makes me want to watch West Wing.
Could have gone away. We just said, look, he's 79-year-old dude. He had a brain fart. What do you want? You try speaking for a living all day. We'll film it and see how many fucking brain farts you have. I mean, it's a human being. What are you going to do?
That would have been a clapback.
That was funny. All right. So then John Lennon we're going to talk about in a second. Muhammad Ali, Elvis Presley, what killed them in the Killing the Legends, the Killing series, which Bill O'Reilly, lest you think he just puts his name on these things. Right. He becomes experts in these subjects, as we've found out in the past when we've interviewed him. Let me hit Geico first. Do you rent your home? Well, you do one or the other, and you work hard. That's where Geico comes in. You want to bundle those policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. So go to geico.com, get a quote, and see just how much you could save and how easy it is to save when you get your bundle going at Geico. All right, we'll talk to Bill O'Reilly right after this.
And now, Alcoa presents Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, Russell County, Alabama. 2 men were charged with theft of property and criminal mischief when they attempted to steal the Russell County Sheriff's speed warning trailer. Definitely not a Jew.
Bill O'Reilly is with us. Killing the Legends is the name of the 12th book in the Killing series. He writes with Martin DeGard. It is available everywhere you find finer books, and it's a way to become an expert, quickly become an expert in whatever the subject is, because it's very thoroughly researched. Congratulations on the 12th book, Bill.
Carolla, I appreciate that, and it is available even in not finer books, even in terrible books.
You can find it.
Killing the Legend. You'll find A Lethal Dangerous Celebrity in pretty much every bookstore. And this is, as you pointed out, the 12th in the Killing series, the most successful nonfiction book series in history, pardon the pun. And this is social history. Lennon and Presley and Ali changed the way we all live today, Carolla. And that's why I wrote the book.
So we have, and I heard you talking to Dennis Prager about it the other day, so I got a little head start on it. We'll go in reverse order. Muhammad Ali, you were saying that after he fought Joe Frazier in Manila, or was he in Africa? Was that the Thrill in Manila?
Manila.
Yeah,
yes, Philippines.
Both fighters almost died in the course of that fight. The heat, the 15 rounds, it was insane. Like he didn't walk for 2 weeks after that. And Dr. Freddie Pacheco, I guess the fight doctor, his doctor said, you can't fight for a while. You need to take a break, man. You're destroying your body. But he was pressured to go back in 4 months later. Who pressured him?
Nation of Islam. That was Elijah Muhammad. His son, Herbert Muhammad, was Muhammad Ali's manager. And Herbert Muhammad was Tom Parker. It was the same guy, just exploiting the hell out of their cash cow with no regard for the health of the celebrity. So Ali, for some reason, did what he was told to do by the Nation of Islam. Do you know who the head of the Nation of Islam is now, Carolla? You know?
Yeah, I do know. It's yes. I'll think of it, but you tell me.
Farrakhan.
Oh no, I don't know. I thought it was a guy. Sorry,
it was Farrakhan.
Oh, Farrakhan.
And
yes,
so
I do know.
This is a tough group, but Ali wasn't a racist. Like he didn't hate whitey or that, but they got him in. And for his whole life, he stayed in. And the fight part of it destroyed his brain. So killing the legends. So we know Presley destroyed himself. Lennon was assassinated. And I'll submit to you that fighting long past the date he should have destroyed Muhammad Ali's brain, which led to his demise.
Yeah, it's really interesting because in professions, you develop a name. And once you're a name, then money can be made on you. And sometimes we'll see it with actors or actresses where they're very recognizable names. It's happened with Bruce Willis, I think, recently, where it's like, we know that name, but the guy's not up to it, but you're kind of pushed out there. But in acting, you don't get your brains bashed in. You know what I mean? I mean, this is, you can do it, you can do it with an old porn star, you can do it with an old actor, you can do it with an old artist or anything, but he's being pushed out there and being damaged. And was his next fight Foreman after that?
No, he had not off the top of my head, I don't know who the opponent was, but it was a USA fight, big purse. Obviously, he's the heavyweight champ, and that's what the Muslims had lined up. Fight after fight after fight after fight. It was insane. And then the states would license the fight, even though they knew that Ali almost died in Manila. And that's not an exaggeration. I mean, the extensive injuries that Ali and Frazier almost went blind in that fight. It was catastrophic. Both of them should have not fought for at least a year after that, as Pacheco said. Pacheco quit the fight doctor. He quit. He said, I can't witness this. And exactly what Pacheco predicted happened.
Sorry, Gina, do you have?
Well, when you say that, I have to think, if this is your cash cow, much like Colonel Tom Parker, why don't you do what you can to keep the longevity of your cash cow? How short-sighted could you be?
That's how it works. They want the money now. That was a different time, obviously, the 60s and 70s, when these guys ruled. And you didn't have social media, and you didn't have the insanity that you have now surrounding celebrities. But it was a dangerous time in the sense that these three gave up their entire lives. Elvis Presley, he didn't want to run his life. Here, you do it, Colonel Tom. Lennon didn't want to run his life. Here, you do it, Yoko. And Ali obviously didn't want to run his life. You do it, Nation of Islam. When you give up your life, you're going to get it. It's as simple as that. So you can't let someone else live your life.
When did he join the Nation of Islam?
Right after the Liston fight, where he became the world heavyweight champion, changed his name from Cassius Clay to Ali. and that led right into the draft where he wouldn't go. So it was a progression throughout the early 60s for the rest of his life.
And the Nation of Islam was profiting off of him because they were managing him.
Yes, they got a huge portion of his income plus expenses. The plus expenses thing is always great.
Right.
So again, these aren't victims, by the way. I don't see Presley and Lennon and Ali as victims. They knew they weren't stupid men. They weren't educated, but they were smart in their own way. They knew what was happening. They just surrendered. It's too much. I just can't take it. So you take it. So that's what happened to him.
Tom Parker did the plus expenses too, right?
Yeah, Tom Parker was a degenerate gambler, running up $1 million gambling tabs in Vegas, sold Elvis out so he could have a line of credit at the casino in Vegas, kept Elvis in terrible movies where Presley had some acting talent. Again, money, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. And then when Presley turned to narcotics because he couldn't sleep, Parker knew. He knew, and he got this Dr. Nick guy in there that's just feeding him narcotics every single day. If you look at Elvis Presley in 1967 and the comeback NBC special, and you can Google it and look at it, there's a guy at the top of his game in his prime. 10 years later, you can't believe it's the same human being. But it's Presley's fault. I assume they had mirrors in Graceland. He could see what was happening to himself, but he allowed it.
And he wasn't a drinker. It was all pills for him.
He never drank. Just prescription drugs, but heavy stuff. And then, his lifestyle and the way he ate and all of that, it just contributed to the breakdown of his entire body.
John Lennon, I think you'd mentioned on an interview that the Beatles did not attend his funeral. Did I get that right?
Memorial service.
A memorial service.
After he was assassinated by Chapman, there was a big Central Park memorial service, and none of the Beatles attended. Now, there was bitterness toward Lennon. It wasn't that they were friends when he was assassinated. They were not. But what people don't know and what we document fully in Killing the Legends is that John Lennon became a heroin addict. And that's what broke up the Beatles. There were business problems, but they could have been overcome. But McCartney and Harrison and Starr were confronted with a guy who's completely different. Remember, in the beginning, John Lennon was an effervescent social creature. People liked to hang around him. 180 degrees, comes isolated, nasty. And they couldn't figure it out until they saw that he was addicted to heroin. And I mean, it's harrowing. It's just, how could you do that when you are one of the most famous people in the world? But that's what happened.
Well, I think the reason it becomes a theme with a lot of really big stars, as you've kind of pointed out, which is you lose control of your life, and you want to go back to feeling nothing for a period of time. And so it's like the average, Joe Sixpack, Joe Blogs, John Doe, they just go about their life with semi-obscurity, except for 2 family members and friends and coworkers and stuff. But they don't have that. I would like to feel nothing, because they feel sort of nothing on a day-to-day routine. They're not being bombarded with this weight of the world. Yeah. So I get why it's a repetitive theme with heroin or drinking or whatever. It's just I want to feel nothing for a period of time. But how does Yoko factor into this?
Well, she's still alive. Yoko Ono is 82, still lives in Dakota where they cohabitated, runs the Lennon estate along with her son, Sean Lennon. She basically controlled John Lennon. Now, it wasn't a money thing with her. There's no evidence that she took money she shouldn't have taken. But apparently she was using heroin as well. And they were just cocooning there in that little drug den in the Dakota. And when you do that, everybody else around you is collateral damage. Kids, family, everybody. And the Beatles were collateral damage. I mean, they show up and there's Lennon in a state of mind where sometimes he couldn't perform and he was, as I said, nasty. And they said, we're not going to do this. And that's what happened.
Yes, Brian.
He had the sort of, I've done a lot of reading about John Lennon as well. And you're right. He had that typical, sadly typical addict sort of gene, which is he was always looking for something. He was the guy who dragged the Beatles to India to study under the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And he was, got into heroin. He's always he got into Yoko, that sort of weird art scene and bagism and the whole thing where he was always looking for something to kind of fill probably the death of his mother, but whatever, or addiction or whatever it was. And he was always embracing these new, sometimes dangerous or self-destructive tendencies.
I think in the case of Elvis Presley and John Lennon, that they wanted to destroy themselves. Although Lennon did kick the heroin.
It's true.
He got off it. But Elvis Presley in particular, as I said, he had to know that he was going down. And he didn't take any preventive measures. I mean, he almost died 3 times from ODs. He was in the hospital. Nobody knew it, but he was there. Then he goes right back. So that tells me that he wanted to check out. And there are a lot of self-destructive people who do. Lennon, he tried to regain control at the end, but his whole life was so altered. And then he ran into that insane idiot Chapman who killed him. The overarch in this book is Presley changes the American culture in the 50s. Lennon and the Beatles change it in the 60s to sex, drugs, rock and roll, which we have now. Okay. More than we had then, but that was a tremendous societal change. And Ali changed the civil rights landscape, a second only to Dr. Martin Luther King. At the same time, they were all operating at the same time, which makes it an unbelievable ground of history to write about. And this is a history book, not a gossip book. It's not a celebrity book per se. It's a history book.
Yeah, I was going to say, now all we have is Lizzo twerking while she plays the flute.
A fancy flute.
A fancy flute. Yes, Gina.
Before we get away, and if we're starting to get away from the Lennon thing, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about, and we've talked about this maybe once or twice on the show, his very strained relationship with his father. And is it true that his father showed up and John basically paid him to go away? Could you tell us about that?
Well, look, we didn't get into too much of that other than to cite that Lennon didn't really have a father growing up.
Right.
He was raised by an aunt. His mother was a loon, and he's in Liverpool, no money, working class, that kind of thing. And he's raised by an aunt. And very early on, the Beatles got together, and 15, 16 years old, and that was the end of any family ties. But Presley had a father. And his father didn't do anything to protect him and took the money like crazy. So neither one of them really had any support system. I have a son and he's in college. And I monitor what happens to him. And if anything bad happens to him, I'm right there.
Well, that's interesting because it was going to be my next question, which is, nobody, Priscilla, Dad, Elvis loved his mom very much famously. No one was around saying Colonel Tom Parker's taking 50% plus expenses and working you to death.
Listen, Priscilla was 14 when she hooks up with Elvis?
Yeah.
Not her job.
It was that close to the Jerry Lee Lewis scandal, and we write about that in the book. And Parker got him out of it. And then he marries Priscilla, and she's 18, something like that, very young. No clue.
Yeah.
None at all. All right. And then Lennon marries a woman very, very young as well, has a son, Julian, who he completely abandons, by the way. And there's no central force. But I'll tell you what, the subtitle of the book is The Lethal Danger of Celebrity. Even if you have a support system, even if you have people that are looking out for you, it's still the burden. Today, if you are famous, you walk out of your house into the public, you are on this immediately.
Phone, yes.
Everybody is recording every move you make, okay? And they can say anything they want about you and your family. They can rip your throat out and nothing is going to happen to them. So it's blood sport. Now, the weight that brings on even minor celebrities, even people that, are trying to get attention, is tremendous. And if you don't have the strength and the insight to fend it off, you're going to go down. And these three men did not have the insight. All right. And in the end, they all folded and they all were crushed.
Well, they all come from poverty and essentially, I don't know if I wouldn't call it abuse in a traditional way, but certainly emotional neglect and severe poverty to insane fame and riches, by their 21st birthday, for sure. I mean, Muhammad Ali's probably a little bit older when he beat Sonny Liston, but still in his early 20s, I would reckon. I mean,
yes.
How would anybody deal with that? How would anyone deal with no education, extreme poverty, to the most recognizable, iconic human beings, not in their mid-30s, and they're, 19 through 23, The
answer is you can't.
Right.
You can't. Unless you have, somebody there like a parent who's guiding you and basically saying, look, you got to stay away from this, you got to stay away from that, and you have to do it. I mean, look, it's Legion, Marilyn Monroe, Judy Garland, Michael Jackson, Princess Diana. It never ends. The list never ends of people crushed by their celebrity, all right, because they weren't prepared for it. And your question is absolutely valid. I mean, when we remember back when we were in our early 20s, how dopey was I? I think I was 10 on a 10 a dopey scale. Okay. And all I had to deal with was getting in my car and going to college. I didn't have to deal with, fighting Sonny Liston or dealing with 10 number one singles. You could see. What
I think about on a semi-regular basis is this phone, this device that's in all our hands and pockets that has a high-def camera built into it. Do you know what I would have filmed when I was 17 with my friends? Do you know what?
The horrors.
I'd be incarcerated right now. I'd be on Devil's Island. I mean, just the fact that, what would you have filmed if you're walking around with a camera? Forget about 22 at 13.
Yeah.
It'd be, first off, I'd be dead because I would tell someone to film me jumping off a roof of a building into a dumpster and I would have missed the dumpster. I would definitely would have died doing some sort of bizarre jackass thing. But yes, these guys were young. They had no education and they had no infrastructure. They had no family. They had no one around them, no guardrails.
But they aren't victims. Mm-hmm. So I don't portray them as victims. They all knew that they were losing control, and Presley and Ali knew that they were being stolen, that they were stealing the money. They knew. It wasn't like they didn't know, but they allowed it.
And because they were so young when they were, well, at least it seems like when Elvis was young, whatever, would you factor in a dusting of brainwashing by an adult saying, don't worry, I'm going to take care of you? So it's like you don't really care that they're taking your money because you think they're supposed to. They're like your cult leader.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Parker did. It's what Herbert Muhammad did. Sure. But when they get older and they look at but they never looked at the monthly income sheet.
Right.
It was all instant gratification, living for the moment. They didn't want to be bothered with all of that. And they didn't want to be bothered with life because they basically were in a surreal world, operating and doing whatever they wanted for their immediate gratification. Yeah. All three of them were big gratification people. They want what they want when they want it, and they could get it. And when you live that way, you lose sight of the big picture of responsibility of who may be ripping me off if you're living from day to day in an immediate gratification situation.
The Chapman story is so haunting because he tried to kill himself and was rescued by a fisherman. And that's crazy. It's crazy to think the guy who kills you was trying to kill himself a few years earlier and was rescued by somebody to then only go on to shoot you in the back. Did he shoot him in the back?
Yeah, he signed well, Bill probably knows. He
Yeah.
signed a record for him or a picture or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, he signed a record and he came back, and then Chapman shot him. I don't think it was in the back, it was in the stomach. But look, every celebrity, every famous person knows that could happen to them, because there are so many deranged people now walking around that, you know, look, I can't go to Dodger Stadium and sit in the stands. Not that people are mean to me, they're not. 90% of the people that I encounter in the public are very respectful and very nice. All I want is a picture, and I'm happy to give it to them. But if I'm there in a place where there's 40,000 people, I can't be. I can't.
You never know.
I have to sit in a box or someplace where there's security. And every celebrity knows that you are in danger. This isn't Sweden.
Yeah, you know, it's such a nation of Islam. You know, this notion, the real white privilege is not thinking because the guy's white, he's got my best interest, which is, that's a privilege, because I can go, that guy's a shyster, fuck him. I don't care if he's half Italian. But I think Nation of Islam, Muhammad Ali thinks, oh, they got my back. The people who did who ripped off the most fighters, Don King and the Nation of Islam. Hey, I'm black, I got your back. No, you do not. That's the real privilege, is thinking these guys are going to take care of me when they're rip-off artists.
The interesting thing is that Ali was not a racist. He didn't hate whitey. Okay, Gus D'Amato was the guy closest to him, his trainer. Checo was white. Howard Cosell, obviously that was his ally in the media. He's white. Ali wasn't like that. I interviewed Ali, and I never picked that up, where any skin color really mattered to him. But they got their hooks into him, the Nation of Islam, and they were a racist group, are a racist group to this day. And Ali went along with it.
Who did you say his trainer was?
Cus D'Amato, like Mike Tyson?
That's Tyson's? Yes. That same Cus D'Amato?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's his trainer.
Well, wasn't Cus very, very old by the time Tyson came around?
Yeah, it would mathematically make sense that he's working with Tyson. Certainly knew his way around a heavyweight, but
yeah, he was Ali's main guy. Wow. And he wasn't like Pacheco. He did still train Ali when he knew Ali should not be in a ring.
Did we find out who his next fight was after the Thrill in Manila there, Chris? I'm curious. 4 months later.
Might have been a German guy. Might have been, I know he went to Munich to fight the German, the European heavyweight. Might have been him, Carl, somebody. I got it in the book. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, you've written so many. What do you talk about the process? Do you?
Okay, so I got one more to do. I'm writing it now, and it's arduous. It's not. People go, "Oh, is it fun to write a book?" No, it's not, because you have to basically come up with stuff that nobody knows, which is primary source material. Killing the Killers, which we put out in May because of COVID. It was supposed to be out last year. That has so much primary source material, national security material in it. We had to get that. It's not like we're reading People magazine about Muhammad Ali. All right. We have to go to talk to people who were there, who actually saw things, and accumulate this massive amount of information, then funnel it down to an entertaining read. My books are a combination of fun and information. That's why they're so successful, because you pick it up and you don't want to put it down. That's the formula for the killing books. So it takes about a year to do it, 6 months to research it. And I know I'm the architect of the book, obviously. And I know where I want to go and then what the elements are. But we always discover interesting things that we didn't know. And then, of course, we put them in. But it's a painstaking process. And you have to edit and go over it. And you have to be accurate. One of the things I'm most proud of is that in the 12 books, we didn't have to retract anything. We made a mistake in killing Lincoln. The first one, we made a mistake. We mentioned the Oval Office. The Oval Office didn't exist in the time of Lincoln. All right, now that I'm not going to blame the person, but it wasn't me, but I should have picked it up. After that mistake, you know me, I put a club down. I said, no more mistakes. Okay, and there haven't been. So when you read history in the Killing series, what you're reading is true.
Last question, completely off the topic, but I thought you're pretty well qualified to answer it, or certainly venture a guess. The Nord Stream pipeline that was sabotaged, blown up. Do you guys hear this story?
Yeah. In Europe, or Eastern Europe?
Yeah.
From Russia to Europe.
From Russia to Europe was evidently sabotaged. No one knows. There's speculation that Russia did it. Then people go, why would they do it to themselves? They could have just shut it off. Well, they could do it to themselves like a Navy could sink its own ship
to make it look
to start a war. Then there's footage of Biden basically going from several months ago saying, if Putin goes into Ukraine, we'll take care of that pipeline. Don't you worry, which is kind of ambiguous, but people think we did it. People think Russia did it, and nobody seems to know. But it seems like you have to be somewhat sophisticated to pull this off as a nation.
Sure.
And I thought, as I was driving in today, I bet O'Reilly has thoughts.
Joe Biden did it.
Joe Biden did it.
Jill.
Oh my
I
God.
didn't see that coming.
Yeah, they put her in a diving bell.
Oh my God.
Down. Big hairpin.
Pow.
Wow, this is breaking news.
Hairpin.
You see, now, I'm being facetious, obviously, although there are some websites who would go, O'Reilly says Jill Biden sabotaged. Nobody knows why that pipeline is leaking, number one. See, I'm a fact-based guy, Carolla, and I know essentially at heart you are too.
I heard sabotage 1,000 times, but it doesn't have to be sabotage.
That's right. Exactly. Okay. Godzilla might have done it.
Right.
He lurks around underwater, Godzilla. You never know where he's going to pop up. So nobody knows if it's sabotage. Yet on cable television, because they don't know what to talk about, they have no imagination, they can do a half an hour on, could have been.
There's a
might
lot
have
of
been this,
imagination.
might have been that. Okay. So the likely scenario is that it's a mechanical, that the Nord Stream pipeline malfunctioned. That is the likely scenario. But whether you're going to get any definition on that from Putin, because Putin's sitting over there in his little dacha now. He can't even go to Moscow, by the way. They hate him so much. He's got to go to his dacha by the Black Sea. He's sitting over there going, how can I use this? Mm-hmm. How can I do this? But anyway, it's a non-story in the sense that you are not going to solve this on cable television or on a Sunday morning shows. Yet these bloviators, they don't care. They just throw it out there. And then there are the people, the conspiracy people, and it's a huge industry, by the way. Conspiracy people, that's right, this might have happened. And we don't know. And we probably are not going to know for a long time. What we do know is that Putin is declining mentally rapidly.
Yeah.
That is the story. I think that Putin may be mentally ill. Speculation, O'Reilly, speculation. Okay.
Who would win in a game of Connect Four, Putin or Biden?
Jesus Christ.
Or would one of them eat the chips?
How about Kim Jong-un?
Kim Jong-un. Oh, God, this is the worst.
Yeah, I don't know how you say top of mind in Russian. I don't know how you do. But Corinne Jean-Pierre is out of her mind. Okay, not top. This woman, I sit there and I'm just like amazed at the spin that she comes up with. The other day, Ducey on Fox asked her, does President Biden believe in any limitations on abortion? She did 4 minutes
without saying
and didn't even come close to addressing the question. I mean, I'm sitting there going, This is indeed the Twilight Zone. We are there.
I miss Saki.
I do too. Well, she's on MSNBC.
I always said Saki did a decent job.
Yep.
She's a spinner. She
Yeah.
did what she was
More
told.
direct.
But she did it in a way that wasn't absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's what we have now.
Every job is that job is a spinner's job, and a spinner who has finesse. Look, a politician is a spinner's job. Everything's a spinner's job. And then there's a very high skill level at spinning. And what you end up doing is you go, if you disagree with the spinner, you go, well, that person is spinning and they're probably lying, but they're doing a skillful job at it. Like you're going,
Yeah,
that
it's a little
person,
admiration.
that person
But
is
they
good.
have made, Carolla, they have made me a millionaire because my moniker is the No Spin News on BillO'Reilly.com.
That's exactly
That's right.
So I set myself up like this, like a bulwark, and there are millions of people all over the world who would actually like to know how that spin is developing and how absurd it really is. And that's what I do for a living, in addition to writing books like Killing the Legends. And I appreciate you guys having me on. It's always fun to talk to you. I'm glad you're doing well out there.
We is, Bill, and I'll give you one last plug. Killing the Legends, available at finer bookstores or your least favorite airport. It's going to be there. Mazel tov to you, Bill, as your people would say.
That's right.
And we'll talk again very soon.
Thanks.
Thanks. The great Bill O'Reilly. Jean-Pierre Koopman is who Ali fought next. He fought October 75, and then it was February 76. So it's, 4 months or so later.
And how'd he fare?
I guess he won that fight. Usually when Muhammad Ali fights the international European champion or something
He
like
wins
that,
handily.
they will win. And then his next fight, is that right? In the same year, Chris? April?
Wow. Yeah. Crazy.
Against Jimmy Young, who was no slouch. And then May, same year.
Jesus.
Yeah. So look, everyone, when you think whoever's got your back, Nation of Islam, Don King, or these organizations, Black Lives Matter, they're looking out for you.
Find a good Jew.
Find a good Jew wearing one of those green visors
With the arm guard.
with the arm guard on, and give him the money. I mean, I would love. I mean, Black Lives Matter is going to end up like this if it hasn't already. People like money. They may love black people. They may like black people, but they love money, and the money always wins out.
Green
Whether
lives
it's
matter.
Elvis's dad, putting him on the treadmill or whatever. It always money.
Ike Turner, Joe Jackson.
Yes, money gets people to look the other way. That's what I'll say. It doesn't make people evil. It takes decent people and kind of just gets them to do bad things.
Makes them malleable.
Yes. All right. Let me tell you about Lands End Business. Wearing that uncomfortable uniform to work. Seemed like only yesterday I was donning my brown gi, my polyester gi McDonald's handed me when I walked on. Whew, nothing wicks away the sweat. No. Don't just slap the logo on any itchy uniform. Get custom apparel from Lands End Business. Since 1993, thousands of businesses have relied on Lands End Business to outfit employees from top financial institutions, airlines, local mom and pop places as well. Whether you're a carpet cleaner, that's right, moving company, pizza shop, they got you covered. T-shirts, outerwear, hats, mugs, water bottles, hundreds of products for trade shows, events, holiday gifts as well. So you can go online and check them out, set them up with Lands End. Am I right, Dawson?
See why thousands of companies count on Lands End Business. Go to business.landsend.com/Adam and use promo code Adam for 25% off. That's business.landsend.com/Adam. Promo code Adam for 25% off.
All right.
Get these motherfuckers out and get me some Jews.
Yeah. We'll take a quick break, come back with the news right after this.
Big breaking Daily Show news. Trevor Noah is leaving the show. He broke the news on Thursday, which was his 7th anniversary on Comedy Central. A source tells TMZ that his decision has to do with his schedule, which is hardcore crazy, and it's just too much of a grind for him to do a daily show. No word yet who will replace him when he's leaving, but he has announced he's leaving.
I say it's going to be a straight redheaded gent.
Yeah.
They'll probably be pressured. Well, so black don't crack, and once you go black, you never go back. If they have a black person in that position, they will be kind of pressured to replace that black person with another black person. That's kind of how the wind is blowing.
Yeah.
So I would say that there'll be some pressure as a woman. So they will be looking for probably
Aisha Tyler.
Yeah, somebody of color, ethnicity, maybe proclivities sexually a little. We can go lesbian or gay, black or Hispanic, and then female something. There will be a box to check.
Yeah.
It's not some 23-year-old Conan O'Brien is not going to walk onto that that set. Now, that said, and this is something I've been talking about, you better make sure that fucking person can do that fucking job and isn't just a chick or whatever. Check some boxes, because they will be exposed immediately. Yeah. You will fuck up the franchise, and you will fuck that person's career up, because then that person, if you grab someone too soon, too early, push them into that kind of thing, you think this is in the name of progress, you will torpedo that person's career. Backfire. Right. So make sure they're up to it. I think the thing with Trevor Noah, if I remember sort of the hoopla correctly, wasn't a color thing. Wasn't that? It was the American citizen. Like, what? This is about American news. And why are we getting someone from another country? But now we have the John Olivers and other people. So I wonder if that's going to be another consideration. Don't know, but there shall be a box to check at this point. Yeah. I don't think we can just get a straight white dude in there.
Well, we're not done with our hot Trevor Noah news. Do you know this? You might know this from TMZ. Do you know who he's dating?
Wiz Khalifa.
That's right. No, he's dating Dua Lipa.
That's what I said. She fucking got ears.
Yeah, you're right. I should clean him out.
I said Wiz Khalifa.
That's her.
I said Dua Lipa.
No.
Dua Khalifa.
No.
Wiz Khalifa.
We're getting farther away somehow.
These are singers?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Say it again.
Dua Khalifa.
Oh, no. You're almost there.
Wiz-a-doo.
We have completely gone off the rails.
Wackadoo.
Wackadoo. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wackadoo Lipa.
Yeah. I watch TMZ, baby.
I know you
I know what's going on.
Well, they're hot and heavy.
He kissed her on the cheek front of a restaurant.
That's right. At a little Jamaican spot in the East Village.
I don't know what that means, though, the cheek kiss.
Well, I think they were clearly seen, as an onlooker says, that they were into each other, and they sat close, and they gave a little kiss after the meal.
Makes sense.
She was with Gigi and Bella Hadid's younger brother, Anwar Hadid, which I imagine is no slouch.
God.
And he was with Minka Kelly for a while.
I'd love to be born in that Hadid family.
Yeah.
What was the dad?
Oh, God.
David Foster?
So I want to say, but then who's the other guy?
He was a husband at some point. I don't know that he was
Mohammed Hadid.
Yeah, Mohammed Hadid, who owned
Jordanian-American real estate developer.
Oh, God. Why couldn't my dad have been Jordanian?
And with quite a head of hair?
Yeah, well, not only do you get the riches, but your dad's not going to be knocking up some slouch. Right. So you get the genes, too.
Yeah, wasn't she like a Swedish model, the mom? The Hadid's mother.
She's
gorgeous.
Housewife, right?
Was she? I don't know.
It makes sense,
really
but
Yolanda Hadid, Dutch-born model. Excuse me.
You get the bones from mom's side of the family, and you get the fucking dineros from dad's side of the family. Now you're covered.
That's right.
Unless you're young Adam Carolla, where you get no bones and no bucks. 0 bones, $0.
Yeah. It's very sad.
Damn it.
Was she a Real Housewife?
Yeah, she had, she's seen better days, but a younger Yolanda was just stunning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of has a Chelsea Handler look about her. I'm looking at the picture.
So
right
the
now.
son, what the hell's the son up to? He just
does he have to be up to anything?
No, he doesn't. He gets the bones in the box, and that's it.
That's Anwar, and he has like a boyish charm, matinee idol, good looks. He's probably going to land on his feet.
The only thing I can hear in my head is, you remember those people? Who's these people that go? This is my family was. They go, they're miserable. They have their problems. Yeah, I know, but we live in our problem.
Yeah.
They have their problems are in their head.
Yeah.
Ours are the place we live.
Ours are a neighborhood.
It's in our yard.
Yeah.
By our problems.
We don't have air conditioning.
You think they're happy? Yes.
Well, maybe they're miserable, but they have air conditioning and a big screen TV.
Yeah.
So they're marginally less miserable than you would be if you're burning up looking at a 13-inch Zenith.
That's exactly right.
They're miserable because they're being sued by their business manager.
Right.
They're miserable because we're sweating.
We're eating
'Cause we're about to be
generic
evicted.
cereal.
Yeah.
We're eating grape nuns.
Well done.
We're miserable.
Well done.
That's why we're miserable.
Yeah.
We have proof we're miserable.
Yeah.
We're just
We just have to trust
speculating
them.
on their misery. Look at them leaving that fancy Beverly Hills eatery. He's miserable.
They're crying on the inside.
I got to tell you, most of the people I know who make a real nice living, less miserable.
Yeah.
And there was a deal falling through. You know what I mean?
I passed a gas station on a walk last night in my neighborhood. Chris has a picture of it. The prices of gas.
Yeah.
$7. Started with a 7 for Supreme.
They know who their customers are.
That's right.
$7.09. By the way, the plus is $6.95 and $9.10, so that's $7. The regular is $6.80.
Over here, it's almost $7.
It's $7. Now, here's the deal. Poor people are miserable when they see that sign. And the Hadid family
They have any thoughts on it?
have zero thoughts on it.
It doesn't even affect their jet.
It's a non-starter.
Yeah.
It's not a 3% problem. It's a zero. The filling up their tank, whether it's $61 or $161, it is of never mind and consequences, and they would be wasting their time if they did think about
If
it.
they shopped around for a lower price,
Right.
you'd be losing money.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
maybe they're miserable.
we're all the same. Stars, they're just like us.
Chris took one at Los Feliz today that was another $7.19. Whew.
Yeah.
I filled up yesterday.
Oh, $7 for it's $7.
Yeah.
It's $7.
I filled up yesterday over here, right? By the studio, it was $6.69.
You were miserable.
That's the lowest.
Miserable.
Yeah.
Suicidal.
Yeah. Oh, I almost didn't make it in.
Yeah.
Almost turned the wheel
Yeah.
right into a lamppost.
Yeah, it's weird what happened with gas. By the way,
What
when
happened?
did this?
Pipeline burst.
Yeah.
What about the
Putin.
releasing 14 barrels a day?
Putin did this to us. Putin, he stole the election and he's ruining our economy, this Putin character. But it rose up, went nuts when Biden took office, and then it started to drop, and they were going, hey, man, gas is going down. And then I blinked, and now it's $7.
That's exactly right.
But the best part is when you watch the congressman from Indiana, and he's up there on Fox News, and he's like, hey, the gas is almost $4 a gallon.
You
And I'm
motherfucker.
like, that's his misery index
Yeah.
is almost $4 a gallon. And I'm like, and then it's this.
Must be nice.
California has the highest state tax rate. Why must we have the highest gas price by far? Why is this a fait accompli? Like, you're in California, of course you pay the most. Like, why? Why does it have to be the most?
How many times have we talked about just get rid of the GD gas tax for a while? We have a surplus.
This punishes the shit out of poor people. None of them can afford an electric car. They all drive, big gardener's trucks or do construction or whatever, and is kicking the shit out of them. Why is this not an issue in California? All right,
question.
sorry.
Okay, let's pivot a little bit to a documentary, a docu-series actually, that I thought was a joke, and now I don't think it's a joke. Barney the dinosaur. He was all about love, the big purple lizard, but people started to fucking hate Barney. And an upcoming Peacock docuseries called I Love You, You Hate Me exposes the backlash against this kids show. And according to the streamer, what it says about the human need to hate. From Barney bashing to frat parties to homicidal video games, something in American society broke into a million pieces and it's never been put back together again. So I have the trailer. It's about 50 seconds and Bill Nye's in it, Al Roker's in it. It premieres on Peacock October 12th. This is the trailer.
It just exploded nationwide.
It was a cultural phenomenon.
What color is happier than purple? No color.
This is Barney, and this is what he sounded like. Barney stands for inclusion, acceptance.
You should love everyone. We all have Cheryl Leach to thank for that.
As her beloved character was heading into the stratosphere, people couldn't accept that this was just a show, and so let the bashing begin.
Some of the rumors that I heard, Barney hides drugs in his tail.
They were violent and explicit.
Death and dismemberment of my family.
I love you, Barney.
They were going to come and find me, and they were going to kill me.
Just the dark side of this whole moment. That must have devastated Cheryl.
There was something larger going on here.
I don't think you could ever think somebody would go and shoot someone.
Oh my.
I'm intrigued.
I get wanting to take out Caillou.
Yeah.
For sure.
But Barney.
Lovable.
Come on.
Yeah. So weird. We're such a weird society. Although I do think, I'm wondering, like, if new parents are in some sort of, or newer parents are in some sort of state where it's like, you're like trying to feed your kid and your kid's agitated and Caillou's like in the background going, Grandma, Papa, Grandma, I want to play outside with a stick. And you're going, come on, just eat this fucking shit. I got to go to work. And then at some point you turn to Caillou and go, would you shut up? I'm going to kill you. You start hearing this annoying voice behind your head while your kid is not doing what you want them to do, and you start associating that with your kid not performing.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's some sort of transference or something.
Some projection.
As much nostalgia as I have from my childhood, Transformers and G.I. Joe and He-Man and on all the great shows, we are in the golden age of kids entertainment. Just Disney Plus alone.
Oh my God.
Remember how like they would release a movie every 20 years?
It's back in the vault.
Yeah, and if you didn't get it, it was gone. Tessa can watch any Disney goddamn property she wants.
And let's not sleep on DreamWorks. I mean, the Kipo series was incredible. What was the horse one? I'm sure she watched that one.
I'm not sure. Now we have Bluey. Bluey's fantastic.
Yeah, there's more than we can
Pig's
remember.
Fantastic. It's the golden era.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring it home, Gina.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Oh, is it fun to write a book? No.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.
All right, let me tell you about my friend Jordan Harbinger. All right, Chris D'Elia is going to join us tomorrow on the show. Bill O'Reilly, Killing the Legends is the name of the book. You will become an expert on whatever the subject of the book is. I'm going to be at the Hollywood Improv coming up October 19th. I'll be up there doing stand-up with a bunch of other stand-ups, so you can enjoy that. You go to AdamCarolla.com for all the live shows, because I'm coming to a town near you. And until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Gina Grad, Bill O'Reilly, and Bald Brian. Say it. Mahalo.